The Dragon Ball Super Fusion World Open Beta has come and gone, and if you were one of the lucky ones, well then you got to play what is probably one of the coolest, newest, and most fun card games of 2024. But if you didn't or don't even know what I'm talking about, not to worry, let me catch you up real quick. You see, Dragon Ball Super Fusion World is a brand new card game that isn't to be mistaken with Dragon Ball Super Masters. That's a different format. So think of Fusion World as a much simpler, easy to grasp, and highly addictive alternative to the Masters format. With that being said, it's set to release its physical version in late February, but for the first time ever, we're also getting a digital client to play across the world with friends. This doesn't have a set date yet, but it's anticipated to be sometime after March. Now, with the release scheduled soon, they had themselves an open beta, where we got to run a version of the client and play against others while also opening new packs, trying out new starter decks, and ranking up our character with their very generous rank system. But with the many hours I put into the open beta, I ended up uncovering some hidden aspects that could possibly give us an idea of what to expect once the digital client does release. So sit back, get cozy, and relax, because I'm about to share with you my predictions, starting with, will this game have a mobile release? Well, the open beta was only for PC. However, if we look at the UI and how the player is meant to navigate on the digital app, well then it's very likely that it's actually designed for mobile in mind. I mean, you got the missions in the bottom, a massive rank button, and this whole UI just screams mobile, and I ain't talking about Ultra Instinct. So I'd bet my super rare 5-cost Son Goku that mobile is definitely in this game's future. Next up, this one was really hidden and definitely not in your face, unless you looked at the card list or even your own collection. But in the bottom right corner, you might notice that all cards have a phased out option that isn't clickable but says create a card. I think this is a clear indicator that we'll also be getting some sort of crafting system that will allow us to consume a resource of some kind in order to create a card. I just hope it isn't the same thing as gems. I'd rather just use those for opening packs and buying new decks. But maybe they'll have a different resource in the game that is specifically for crafting. But what do you guys think? And what would you like that method to be? Okay, now for my last prediction. But this one is a huge stretch that I honestly am not fully confident about. But I am confident enough to share with you my thoughts and how I got to that prediction. And that is that we will have a 5th color group. You see, as of right now, we have the red, blue, green, and yellow groups, but I think there's a 5th one set to come out in the future. My reasoning is the pentagon shape in the bottom left corner of cards. It has 5 lines and sides, and depending on the card, has a letter corresponding to that color. Now, if you notice, the blue cards are indicated with the letter U instead of B, so I'm thinking that there might be a black color card group that would occupy the top left line of that pentagon shape and the letter B. But now here's my second prediction or theory for the new color group. I predict it would act as a sort of colorless or multicolor group, meaning it could be placed into any kind of decks. My reasoning behind this is because many cards have 2 types of costs. For example, let's take a look at this Son Goku card. It costs 5 energy, but 2 of those energy need to be red cards as indicated by the 2 red circles on the right of that number. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you could only use red cards in a red deck, wouldn't it seem a little redundant to also indicate that 2 of those 5 cards needed to be red? I mean, I guess you could just put extra cards into your energy pool, but that just doesn't really make sense, which is why I think there will be 5 color groups and the 5th one will be a sort of colorless multicolor group. But those are my 3 predictions, and I am eagerly waiting for this game's release. In fact, I have already pre-ordered some physical booster boxes. Let's go, baby! And to be honest, I'm super excited for the digital client release as well. I run a few YouTube channels, with my largest channel being on the topic of Pokemon, but I've grown up with Dragon Ball Z and have recently fallen in love with card games and will be posting way more regularly on this channel. So if you're interested in seeing some honest reviews of the starter decks, what I think the best cards are, or even a leaders tier list, well then consider subscribing to the channel. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.